An even longer time ago, in a galaxy even further away, Star Wars could have been very, very different. From the hard sci-fi of George Lucas's original drafts for the Star Wars, the stories made some major evolutions between page and screen. Here we take a glimpse at some of the other versions of Star Wars we could have seen. In the very early days, Star Wars wasn't a long time ago at all. It was set in the 33rd century. Luke Skywalker was an experienced general charged with protecting a princess from an empire. His lightsaber was known as a laser sword. Soon after, it became a tale of the Jedi Bendu. They had been bodyguards protecting the Emperor and key players in the Imperial Space Force. They'd since been overthrown by the new Empire and the Knights of Sith in a great rebellion. The story followed an experienced Jedi named Kain Starkiller, who had sons named Deke and Anakin. Aside from his head and arm, all of Kain's body was cybernetic, not that unlike the future Darth Vader. After Deke was killed by a Sith, Kain hooked up with an old Jedi chum named Luke Skywalker, still a general, and asked him to train up Anakin. Kain had another friend named Han Solo, though at this point he was a green alien. Chewbacca wasn't always the dog-bear hybrid type thing we know from the movies. He was a more bat-like creature, with big eyes and big ears. The design has since been recycled as the Lasat Zeb in Star Wars Rebels. At one point, studio executives got a little uptight that Chewie had no clothes on and attempted to get him redesigned so that he wore shorts. Turned out though that Wookiees are totally comfortable with nudity and the shorts never happened. Kurt Russell, Al Pacino, Nick Nolte and Christopher Walken were all in the running to play Han Solo before Harrison Ford got the part. Jabba the Hutt was originally played by a man, an actor named Declan Mulholland. George Lucas had planned to composite an alien over the top of the images of the actor, but ultimately cut the scene. Until the 1997 special editions, when he put a CG Jabba the Hutt in there instead. In screenwriter Lee Brackett's early script drafts for The Empire Strikes Back, the Force ghost of Luke Skywalker's dad cropped up talking to Obi-Wan Kenobi. About Darth Vader, who was at that time a totally different character to Anakin Skywalker. There was a character called Lando Kadar. He was a clone living on a cloud city on a world named Hoth, who hung out with a race of cloud people. An early iteration of Boba Fett was known as Prince Valorum, a Black Knight of the Sith hired by Darth Vader to track down rogue rebels. Yoda originally had the first name Minch. Initially, he was all set to be 8 or 9 feet tall, but once it had been decided he would be a small character, the production team toyed with having him played by a monkey. Legendary director of The Weird, David Lynch, was offered the chance to take the helm of Return of the Jedi, but ultimately declined the offer. He went off to direct Dune instead, which didn't turn out too well. Early Return of the Jedi scripts had not one but 2 Death Stars under construction. Princess Leia led a team of commandos on a moon orbiting the imperial capital of Had Abaddon. They were trying to knock out a communications array and a shield generator. Harrison Ford famously lobbied to have Han Solo killed off in Return of the Jedi. Bet he's glad George Lucas overruled him now, though. The Emperor had a proper James Bond-style volcanic lair. The ghosts of Obi-Wan Kenobi and Yoda popped up in the finale to help Luke in his battle against Darth Vader and the Emperor, spouting loads of nonsense about the Netherworld. Darth Vader ended up sacrificing himself to save Luke, plunging himself into a pool of lava with the Emperor. In early story conversations, another, rather weirder idea was raised where Luke would take off Vader's mask and put it on for himself, shouting, "Now I am Vader!" He would then turn on the rebels and rule the universe for himself. Who knows? Maybe that's what J.J. Abrams has in store for The Force Awakens.